What's up, Full Fire Gamers? It's your boy, Cameraman Dave here, with a little bit of a, well, I guess Full Fire Uncut. So it's a video we took. It was a little bit last minute, so there's not so much editing going into this, but I'm just going to commentate. So we have Kethis Combo on the left of your screen, played by myself, and then Francis on the right is playing Energy. So I've started off with the Edge Maze, which is obviously a great, and it's not a terrible start for me, but it's quite a slow start. Francis leading on Ragavan right off the hop here. And I go Plaza Heroes, which Francis has to read, because he just doesn't have the mastery of the modern format like myself. So just checking on the ruling on that. You'll see a couple of those during this game. It is a top level finals of an RCQ, so you know people are going to be double checking everything. So we're going for an assassin here. What this deck is now known for is Basim. Great little character. Drawing extra cards, which you're going to see right here. Ball will trigger. Draw another card with Basim. Fantastic. Lead with Amber. And then Tamiyo. So this turn 2 has been quite explosive. And I'm baubles the Francis on his upkeep. Single Artifacts, which I'm pretty happy with for the most part. I'm always happy to see Energy having more lands than action. And depending on the state of my opponent's hand here, there's a real chance this Ragavan isn't going to get in this turn. Which, spoiler alert, is what we do see once we see what Francis plays after he gets his planes, putting himself down to 17, I believe. So, Guide of Souls coming in, and then an Ocelot Pride. So, just setting up for Francis here. He's not built himself too bad a board state, he's got a active Ragavan, and active Guide of Souls, and Ocelot Pride making cat tokens every turn. It's definitely showing a fairly strong board state. So you'll see me move my deck box there. That's a little trick for me to make sure I don't forget my bauble upkeep triggers as I stick my deck box on top of my deck. Because there's absolutely no way you're going to forget when you've got to literally move something in order to get it. So just debating whether I want to make the Tamiyo clue here first, because I think I'm going to be flipping at this turn, because I've drawn for turn and I've drawn off bauble for an upkeep, so I will be getting Tamiyo flip. It's just whether I want the extra clue or not, or whether I want Basim to push damage. Because this turn, I believe, is I play Jace. So I can actually just neuter my opponent's, pretty much my opponent's entire board here with Tamiyo, Flip and Jace. Which is a play you have to be aware of when you play Energy. So yeah, Jace Perfected Mind. It is the Phyrexian version, which you can't see very clearly here. Hence why there's a little bit of asking about what the hell does this card even do. Everyone knows what the -X does. Past that, it's mostly largely academic for a lot of people. So, yeah, between Jace and Tamiyo here, I can really, really effectively lock down the Energy player's turn and stop them really getting any action going. So, just waiting for this to be resolved here. So, just waiting for the judges to get the Oracle text here so that my opponent can see it. Just clarifying where the extra draws come for Tamiyo. So, here comes Flip Tamiyo alongside Jace. So, like I said, this is really going to make the board just non-existent. So, uptake on Ragavan, because this is what can put him ahead. And Basim is unblockable. So now, using all my dice from my dice box, because I like to get my money's worth out of my sets of dice, and now pass back to the opponent. So I'm setting myself up really fantastically here to, if I've got a Kethis in hand, to go off next turn, or even without a Kethis, there's an opportunity to find him, depending on what I have in hand. So just waiting to see how the Energy player will respond here. Obviously, they've still got Guide, they've still got Pride. Ragavan is currently taking a -4, -0, so that I just wanted to make sure that Ragavan couldn't get through, fly through, make some more treasures, potentially find something off my library like a bauble or something to give them extra action, and then alongside a flage or something like that, because that really put me too far behind, potentially. So just waiting to see what Francis will do here, and it's just going to be a plains. And basically forcing, if he wants to push damage through, to do it with Ocelot Pride, to maybe set up a blowout. That's not going to happen this turn, but just things to be considering. So probably going to be either a Fable or a Flage from the energy play here. Their turn 3 is often just play Flage go, or Bombardment does present a risk here. Just checking how many cards I got in hand. Yep, here's a Flage. Presumably that's going to be levelled at Basim here. You don't want me drawing extra cards. So yeah, just going to go take down that Basim there. Gain the life with the guide. Go up to a reasonable life total there. That puts them to free energy so they can fly something, which is probably going to be the Ocelot Pride in this case. Yep, so like we said here, just Pride Scump coming in, going to target that Tamiyo, jump it, deal 2 damage to Tamiyo, get involved with extra life, make some more cats, and move on with their turn pretty much. So, yeah. Just counting for the City's Blessing, and then, yeah, let me untap, which is always a worry against Kethis Combo deck when you've got an active Jace on board. So land for turn, representing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana here, so I could quite easily rumble into a Kethis here to start things going. So go get Overgrown Tomb. Feeling pretty safe here. I think I've only fetched once or twice in this game, so haven't really lost a lot on my life total. I do have an active Tamiyo, so I'm not really feeling too much pressure from my opponent's board state here. And what do we see? Just making sure that I don't accidentally tap out of Kethis mana. It's important to keep that in mind at all times. Keep an eye on what permanents you haven't played. Like I know I can make green blue off of Amber right now. So just checking I've got white, black and green across my stuff. So yep, there we see Rumble. And yep, Kethis is the first thing we see there. So we're going to boogie. And opponent just wants to have a quick read of Kethis because I'm a maniac and I'm the only person who plays this deck. Yep, so resolve Kethis here. Opponent's tapped out. I get to mill 18 cards with Jace, and at this point, it's more or less going through the motions. There's not a lot really the energy player can do, or anything really the energy player can do to actually win the game here. It's fairly unlikely to whiff, especially when I'm seeing 18 off the first one, and then I'm going to see 15 off the next one. So it's very unlikely here that the Kethis player will whiff. think I will have to cast the Agatha Soul Cauldron though for Metalcraft, but that's fine. We have got the Kethis out, so Cauldron only costs 1, and we do have the spawn out, which means we don't have to really tap our coloured sources in order to get there. So just doing some little admin here to make sure that I keep myself the relevant cards and the mana separated, so that I'm not accidentally losing them, making sure I'm not accidentally looping through mana which I could use. So this is a perfect amount, 3 mana plus the Soul Cauldron, which will let me cast Jace Perfected Mind again this turn, which means another 15 cards, and it's very unlikely that I'm going to fizzle out here. So 1 blue floating here, tap these 2 for 2 more blue, cast another Jace, which is reduced by Kethis. Don't forget that Kethis is also a cost reducer for your legendary spells. Hence why we could cast that Soul Cauldron for 1 earlier in the game. So another mill for 15. And this is pretty much, like I say, largely academic at this point. My opponent really can't do anything. It's very hard for me to whiff. I have an obscene graveyard. And that lovely, lovely oil slick Jace there, courtesy of Brett. Thank you, Brett. Shout out to the Forest lads and the Forestry Commission. So it looks like I can make 4 or 5 more mana here in the next loops. Yeah, 4 mana on the next loop. If I with the Jace there. Yep, another activation of Kethis, and this is going to be pretty much cleaning up the library in order to kill my opponent here. So we've already counted my library, so we know it's less than 15. And at this point, I'm going to pretty much explain to my opponent, look, I have 6 mana per turn. I cast 2 Jace per turn, 6 mana per loop. I'm going to cast 2 Jaces per loop and mill you for 30 at each increment. So this is where I'm just going to prepare those piles, just because usually that's enough to go through opponents. Go, okay, fair enough, I've lost. When you can mill something like 150 or 180 cards. Yep, so just explain that to my opponent. So just making sure that I have the correct amount of legends. So opponent just doing, what you really should do, and just double checking all my permanents here. And yeah, that's a win towards Kethis on game 1. So just going to make a little cut here, and then I'll catch you guys in game 2. So welcome back. We are back here for game number 2 in this match. So just going to start off nice and fast, as per usual, with the old energy deck, and that's Ragavan. So just making sure that he's not got anything else to do before I draw and play. Shock my Hallowed Fountain in, and follow up with Tamiyo. Great little blocker for Ragavan, but I'm presuming my opponent's probably kept some form of removal. But we're going to find that out shortly, I'm sure. But if not, then Ragavan is stopped. And Tamiyo goes to prison, presumably for her many crimes. And then getting in for Ragavan. Now, if I remember rightly, this game, I only had 1 land and I was hinging on the Tamiyo to produce mana. That's why I didn't play the Mox on. If I remember rightly, I had Mox in hand. I didn't play it on turn 1 because I wanted to not give him another reason to blow it up. Because if he blows it up and he goes, oh, that's extra mana. Which is why I sort of sandbagged the Mox there to see if I could maybe guarantee I go to 3. Okay, fetch land by the looks of it. Another Tamio. Okay, then Francis is going to fetch away to 16, he says. Likely getting the Elegant Parlour, which we see. These lands are just so fantastic in modern decks. Like, if you're 2 colour and it's fast, then you should at least be playing 1. If you're even close to mid range, you should be looking at 2. The lands are just so amazing. But I think we all know how good Surveil lands are in the modern and further back formats. So untap here. Static Prison will go away here. So I think it originally says he's going to pay for the trigger, then he realises, oh wait, I've actually already got Tamio. No information's changed, so like he hasn't gained any additional information. He knows I'm not going to like counter the trigger or anything, so it's completely fine take back there. And like I said, sometimes you just have that little bit of respect for your opponent to be like, this isn't like you've not gained anything from saying yes and then changing your mind. It's not like if he's 2 steps ahead, like if he's made an action in between, I would have gone no. But yeah, in that situation, it is completely fine for the take back there. Okay, so just a lot of thinking from the energy player side. Obviously, he's going to have some quite difficult turns. This Tamio is representing like a board stall, potentially. He might even try pump fake with Ragavan here just to attack and to see if he can get through. But there is a real chance he can with 3 mana. Now 4 mana. Tamio being cleared out is fairly obvious. So we're going to go to 15 here, go get into basic planes, and then no, and then. So I presume this is going to be some sort of free drop here, Flage or Fable, and it is a Fable, yeah. Interesting why Fable stayed in this matchup because I feel like it's a very slow card against a deck that can present a kill very very quickly. But he is on the play, so I'm not going to pretend I'm the energy expert. So there was just a little dispute about the life totals there. That's why that fetch is taking a while. I knew I was getting hedge maze there. I'm not, unfortunately, not set myself up for Basim. So if I've got, I'm just gonna go combat. Tamio, make a clue. So, yes, that was remember one of the lands was Spire of Industry, not Mox Amber. Ooh, and here we see the second titular assassino of Arbaaz. For those who are uninitiated, when it or another historic permanent enters the battlefield, you gain a life and your opponent loses a life, which is why you're now seeing me repeatedly banging my fist on the table over Arbaaz like King Kong, and shaking the camera in the process. And yeah, so obviously that's great. And I'm just gonna jam a Kethis here. And just basically all I need now is a way to mill, and we get there. So I'm all the way back up to 19 now from 16. No, wait, 15? No, 16. So just tanking. So this is, like I say, I put myself in a position here where I could present a win at any given time, but I just need to find something now. So like I say, it's going to be that Jace. It's going to be, um, and if I even if I don't like spinning my wheels, just doing a little bit of digging is going to help with Arbaz. You know, it's 19 plays 10. I just heard over the comms there, so you know it's not a small life total. I've still got some attackers. You know, there's a real possibility combat damage is going to just get us there. But we'll have to see where the game takes us, because you can never count the energy deck out, and you can never count the Kethis deck in. There's a shoe in either way. Okay, we see a Guide of Souls from the energy side. Presumably going to follow this up with Pride or Ajani or something like that. Yep, there it is, Ajani. So this Guide of Souls and this Arbaaz Mirror just sort of in a holding pattern of he plays creatures and gains life, I play creatures, he loses life, and also gain life. So, so we're going to jump the Ragavan. And Kethis going away here to the Fraven Charm. Just remembering to put the cat out. Opponent in order to trigger, he just forgot to do it, so that's absolutely fine there. So I take 6 from this attack. I'm not feeling horrendous. Like I've got I haven't got too many cards left in hand. So I'm just really looking for a little bit of action here. And Misty Rainforest is not it. So just going into my library here, just going to fin it out for an island. And I take ages to shuffle, so make another clue. So just going to try and flip a Tamio here, I think. Correct the clue again. Flip Tamio. Just cash it in. Uptick in Tamio here, so just flipping Tamio. Little thing to remember is that Tamio, when you flip her, does trigger Arbaaz again because she is exiling and returning. So Rumble, go get Basim again. Just looking for action here is the name of the game in this. Flip Fable here. Really want to be ending the game sooner rather than later here. So just again, having another think. This Ragavan is a 4. Everything is -1, -0 because of Tamio. Now this game too is a long one, unfortunately, because as you can imagine, when it's your last chance to claw a game back before you get to the end, you're gonna think through almost every single line before you do it. You can't afford to really play fast and loose in the finals here, so just some really disciplined play. So lots of things can happen next turn with that Fable flip. You know, we could copy cat tokens to flip our Ajani. We could copy guide to get a bunch of life and fly a bunch of things. All sorts of things can be happening next turn, and I'm not happy about it. Really, again, want to just be ending the game next turn, or at least putting myself in a situation where my opponent isn't winning. So just another read of Arbaaz there, because who the hell plays that card other than me? So just attack Tamio with Guided Souls with Ragavan, and then attack the cat at me. Quite a bit of a heads up play here from Francis of not giving me stuff into my graveyard. Just Francis here just discussing whether he should have attacked Tamio with the Cat Warrior. I think it was actually quite a good play from him because it's still done its thing, and not putting it in the graveyard gives me one less things, one less legendary spell in the graveyard, which maybe that's something he's considering, but. So Bulbul here, a few more pings. Countdown tick to get anything back. So just another question on live totals, except I was right this time. So swings and roundabouts really. So Basim coming in. Could have done this in a different order. Probably should have done this in a different order. But I think my last card is Soul Cauldron here. So there it is. So my opponent is at 8 here. I think I realistically couldn't kill him through everything. But finding an Emery here is pretty stellar. That's the card draw for turn, because that's going to potentially turn me on to quite a lot of stuff here. So again, just debating. But as you can see, a little bit of it is all bauble, it is all mocks and ambers, and yeah, I don't think there's enough to kill here. So I'm just going to have a response here with a wear tear. So just still getting that reflective trigger, counter on Arbaaz, but Soul Cauldron is going away and Kethis is an exile, so Emery and Basim are going to have to do a lot of heavy lifting here. It's ball and upkeep, and if I remember rightly, this is the last turn of the game. Yeah, so a little bit of cheating here for me. I accidentally get a little bit too excited and draw with the ball right away. Um, um, I also forgot to untap with I forgot to uptick with Tamio as well here. So it just it was poor play all round. Even I think when we worked it out at the end of it, it didn't matter, but still that was so frustrating. Frustrating because it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Because I did see a Ajani off the top here, so he's going to flip his Ajani, do a bunch of damage, and get through with the flyers. But yeah, sometimes you play perfect, sometimes you play like shit, and this game was certainly one of the occasions where I played a bit poorly on that front. So just waiting for him to go through the motions here, but it should be very, very dead. So yeah, going 7 energy here. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That'll be 7 creatures. So that'll be 7 damage, and then this is getting in with the flyers. And this is what I was saying. Letting them untap is always tough. But even if I did uptick with Tamio here, there would have been. So I would have been taking 12 in the air, reduced that by 3, would have only been 9, which would have been more than enough to kill me here. So that is a little bit of a sort of comeback for me. Is that okay? It didn't matter, which is a way to sort of just recenter yourself a little bit and just say, look, you fucked up, but move on. It didn't matter. You didn't affect the play. So that was game 2. So gonna cut for sideboarding, and then we'll come back for game 3. All right, welcome back, and we're in for round 3 now. So just resolving some mulligans here. I believe I kept my 7, and the energy player has mold to 6. So starting off Breeding Pool Tamio, because I'm a great gamer, and you just and bauble my opponent with upkeep. See an Arena of Glory, not the land I really want to see, but it's not a land they can play turn 1. So this is very much one of those occasions where that information is gonna last over a number of turns. Just sort of preemptively picking up my Tamio there because I always presume her days are numbered on this world. Either she's going to prison or she's being discharged right in the face. And much like I open with Tamio every game, my opponent opens with Ragavan every game. Truly the duality of man. Um, and I draw for my bauble here, so just setting up for what will be a fairly decent turn here. Besager's land, attack with Tamio, make a clue, cast 2 for Rumble. Again, and it's going to be a little bit. I already know this one. It's already making me cringe, wildly. Because I think it's my turn 3 for some reason. I try to play Plaza. And then there we are. We realise I'm an idiot. So I just swapped those around. Because so they're going to go Amber. Play the Emery. Really want to be drawing a card this turn, potentially to flip Tamio here. Mill 4. And just let it fly. Besage is quite an awkward second land here for me, but I do get a second land, which is always a position to be in. Not really going off next turn, so I'm just going to check the spawn in front of it, because I can only really go up to 4, and 4 isn't really enough to do too much of anything. So Mox Opal. So I needed the black there to cast this Basim. Little bit of misordering here. I should have targeted first with Emery so that I could immediately draw a card with Basim before giving your opponent the opportunity to kill it. But trigger the Basim, draw a card, and now I can, if I really want to, crack this clue. Which is what I'm going to do. To flip the Tamio. And this is why Basim is fantastic with Tamio, is you can really, really consistently flip Tamio fairly early. So again, flipping a Tamio before turn 3 is great in this matchup. Play Spire Industry, and this is a fantastic turn. Flip Tamio, play a Basim, get that going, portable hole, get rid of your only threat. You've passed your turn 2, and then well, that's just that's the dream turn that you want to have against Energy. So just bubbling my opponent in there, keep the hair. I don't play counter spells in this deck, so there's no benefit to me having cards on my opponent's turn versus on my turn. In the event that there's some, I don't know, surgical extraction or something like that, it does help. So a bunch of threats from my opponent here: a Basim on board, an Emery on board. This is representing a complete value card engine that means I'm going to be able to draw at least 3 cards a turn, which you just cannot let happen. There needs to be some removal spells start being let loose here. Which is what probably our opponent here is, Francis, is thinking about. He's had to go arena, so still only got that single white, which isn't too bad. for them. They really want to see 2 white sources, but past that they're not really fussed. The deck is fairly easy to operate without too many white sources here. And I'm representing 6-7 mana next turn between Emery and getting back up my Mox and a land. So, I'm representing quite the swathe of mana here. Like this, if my 2 cards in hand are Kethis and Jace, game's over. Because that's only 6 mana that's required, which is probably running through my opponent's head here. Okay, so after a little bit of thinking here, so just checking if any of it's exerting while my opponent's thinking through what he's playing. And there we are, Flair on Basim. Was it the correct call? Hard to say, really. You got an active bauble. Like Basim is a threat, Emery is not. I haven't played anything else yet. Like if there's a Kethis on board, then 100% you probably should. But I'm just going to drop 4 mana here. And 4th land, sorry. And I've got no pressure against me, so this is a great time to Tamiyo down tick, get a rumble, and always remember it is a green instant or sorcery, so make that mana. Rumble is free. So we are casting my rumble off the green floating and the Boseiju, and we see a Jace Wielder Mysteries and a Jace Perfected Mind here. So depends what I've got in hand. If I've got a Kethis in hand, this is fantastic, and I'm just going to go off here and now. If I don't have a Kethis in hand, it may be setting up for something else. It could just be Jace, mill myself for 15, see if I find a Soul Cauldron, see if I find a Kethis. If I do, happy days, I've won this turn. Which is some of the stuff you can do, and you need to be aware of your edges. It's always, do your counting, look at your percentages. I'm just insulating myself here against free artifact removal because this bauble's doing nothing otherwise. So just doing my mana check here, making sure that even if my opponent has some sort of free interaction, which I know the energy player doesn't, but it's right for me to play around it, just because you never know. This is a closed decklist tournament at the end of the day. So there's always a chance for weirdness. So here we are, Jace Perfected Mind. And milling myself here for 15. So I was just debating there whether I can play around surgical extraction or not. If my opponent's got surgical extraction, then great, I lose. But yeah, you're never going to be. I'm never ever going to be able to play around it. So without having a Teferi. So Soul Cauldron here from hand, exiling the Kethis, making Emery a Kethis, and time to boogie. So I brought in Jace, Wielder of Mysteries, for this game, just because you might have to operate on slightly lower resources, where there's a possibility that if you go through too many legends, you're not going to be able to mill your opponent out, because you have to mill yourself out first, and mill your opponent. So Jace, Wielder of Mysteries just takes that sort of that onus off yourself. And there's always a possibility if your opponent does get rid of Kethis, it can piece a win together through fair Jace milling yourself. It's not likely, but it can happen. So you got to take your edges where you can get them. So already this loop is self-sufficient. I have 4 Moxen, and as long as I can keep the legendary count going, then I can keep looping this Jace. So yeah, just explain to my opponent, the loop is self-sufficient. And then the handshake, and quick. Let's go down to the table and see how I reacted to that, because I'm sure it was a completely measured and reasonable response.
Yeah, no, you got it. Yes! I lost, yeah.
So there we are. So that was my RCQ final. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like I said, this one is a little bit less editing heavy than our usual videos, just because we were fighting technical issues alongside our inner demons that day. So hope you guys enjoyed it, and yeah, I hope you guys watch some videos in the future, which hopefully show a little bit more, the old pizzazz. Cheers.